Colin was wrong.
But I've been higher on the Chiefs than almost everybody else at this network because Andy and Brett Veach and Patrick Mahomes, the three teams they're battling for a wild card spot, have all beaten them. The Chargers, the Jags, and the Bills. And they're 0-5 in one-score games. And I just don't think their defense feels as intimidating. And I think Patrick Mahomes is still remarkable. That's not a very good pick. And I think in the last couple years, it feels like Josh Allen's more dynamic. So I've been a little higher on Kansas City, maybe because I've seen them turn it around and have sluggish 2 or 3 game spots. But I don't think they're in a good spot right now.
Yeah. Well, the Chiefs are obviously not in a good spot. But, yeah, first off, you can't be higher than the Chiefs than anyone at that network, you know, because when Nick Wright is at that network, let's be serious here. You know, it's just so interesting because, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday because of the Kansas City Chiefs, because I was so frustrated, especially what happened in 23 and 24, but especially 24. All the conversations about how we kept kicking the can down the road, about evaluating some of these teams, and the Kansas City Chiefs being the gold standard of that because they were undefeated, but they weren't playing particularly well, right? You didn't feel that you were watching like truly high-quality football. Patrick Mahomes wasn't playing high-quality football, and yet we're watching these shows, we're watching First Things First, and, you know, Nick's talking about, like, and again, we know that he's a Mahomes fan and a Chiefs fan and all that. That's all well and good, but still in the moments where we're trying to have like real conversations about like, what does it mean to be great? What does it mean to be a great quarterback? And it was just like, well, they're winning, they're making all the plays. And then even Tom Brady, when he was calling the 49ers game, the 49ers Chiefs game, he was talking about thought about stats, about finding ways to win, yada, yada, yada. And like, that's all well and good. And there's obviously a tremendous amount of truth to that. But like, I had reached that breaking point where like this year I was just kind of like, I don't want to keep kicking that can down the road. And then we saw the Colts come about and the Patriots come about. And it was just like, I don't want to just keep focusing on the future or how a team will be in the playoffs. And so I really kind of made the decision to say like, let's talk about these games. Let's talk about these teams through the immediate lens of what we see right now. Nothing about this understanding of Patrick Mahomes winning these Super Bowls and Andy Reid and et cetera, like nothing to do with that. And if you do look at the Kansas City Chiefs through that lens of just saying, I'm just focused on right now, it's not really the worst thing either. You could go back and say, listen, we know the Chiefs can be great. We know the Chiefs will be great. Don't doubt them. This is Mahomes. This is Andy. This is Spack, blah, 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 Chris Jones, whoever. And like, yeah, there you can take that lens as well and still kind of get to the end goal here. But my argument is going to be, you don't even need that. And I want to explain this further. When we look at the course of the schedule, there's going to be a million different ways to look at this. And this is a part that I actually really enjoy to try to figure out and put this puzzle together because it's difficult. It's not easy. And we like to think it's easy, and it's definitely more of an art than a science. And it's both art and science. That game was a little bit closer. The Chiefs and the Chargers. Let's start there. That game is that scoreboard makes it look a lot closer than it really was. The Chargers were in control of that game for the vast majority of the game. And it was actually kind of a little bit of a Chargers mistake that even allowed them to, that allowed the Chiefs even remotely, even in a position to win that game. But they lost that game. Xavier Worthy gets knocked out. First game of the season, always a little rough. They were in, where were they? Brazil. Wherever the heck, I don't even remember where they were, but I'm just pretty confident it wasn't in the U.S. Coming off a tough Super Bowl loss, obviously. Worthy gets knocked out. Kelsey knocks them out. No, Rashid, no. Rice. You're down your wide receiver 1 and 2 going up against a division rival. Chargers at that point were fully healthy, or they were down, you know, one of their linemen, which was devastating. But still, I guess at that point you could say, they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable, healthier, blah, blah, blah. Come away with win. Okay, boo. Now you got the Eagles and the Chiefs. Now the Eagles have proven to consistently win these types of weird, ugly, bizarre type games. The Chiefs had a touchdown. Kelsey Ole, the ball up in the air, turns into an interception, a big run, bam. And also, in that same game, Hurts makes a great throw. He gets decked by like every single Kansas City Chief player, gets it up, throws up a 50-50-ish ball to Devontae. Devontae comes down with it. Boom. And it's just like game got really reduced down to just the tiny little moments. And then the Chiefs and the Giants, that game didn't really matter. I don't care what anyone says. You're going up against Russell Wilson. That means nothing to me. And then you have the Baltimore Ravens and the Chiefs. Yes, that defense was really bad. That offense was still by the Baltimore Ravens was so overwhelmed. Lamar Jackson and that offense was so overwhelmed. Like, I was uncomfortable watching that. And the Chiefs came out with such intensity. And it was such a textbook example of we know how to play big games, and you don't. You don't. Which is why that Chiefs-Eagles game was so gritty and tough, because obviously it's two teams that know how to win big games. I think at this point, the Chiefs have to be able to like shake the hands of the Eagles and say, yes, we respect you. You know how to ball. You know, game recognizes game. And so it's like, yeah, that makes sense. The Chiefs and the Ravens to me was just kind of like, maybe there is some validity to the whole thing that the Baltimore Ravens just don't know what they're doing. Now you have the Jags Chiefs. The Jaguars are one of the most bizarre teams I have seen to date right now. And Trevor Lawrence and that team is just, they're just bizarre overworld, man. They're just one of the most bizarre teams ever. And after watching that game, I was like, I think the Chiefs are the better team. It took one of the most bizarre game-winning drives I think I've ever seen in my entire life for them to lose that game. And it was bonkers for just so many different reasons. Too many reasons to even keep track of. And it's just like, I left that game thinking, I mean, you know, it was a crazy game and, you know, it was interesting, but like, I feel better about the Chiefs. Chiefs feel more organized. Chiefs feel more disciplined. They seem more ready to go. And then you got now the Chiefs and the Lions. And the Chiefs now play the Lions and took away any of their moves. They hung 17. Again, there was a couple of these gotta have it moments. The touchdown that they went for it on fourth down, they maybe ended up kicking a field goal, I forget. But then also the 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 that Amon-Ra St. Brown drops that had devastating consequences. And like that score could have been closer. But regardless, the Chiefs again show their championship pedigree, their poise, their discipline. Boom. Then they obviously roll the Raiders and the Commanders. Who cares about that? Now we have the Chiefs versus Bills. Again, make the argument that their O-line wasn't the best. But listen, the pressure that Patrick Mahomes was dealing with was on par with all the other quarterbacks when they have in high-pressured games, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's not like this specific game was like, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes was pressured 29 times or something. Outrageous, where you're like, of course Patrick Mahomes did not play great. The Chiefs' offense was not great. Their defense was not bad. I mean, they just got Josh Allen a couple times, but it was still a one-score game and still right there for the taking. And then the same thing, obviously, with the game that we just saw, the Broncos versus the Chiefs, right there for the taking. But I mean, the Bills and the Chiefs in the regular season always can just be a wild game. So I don't even know if there's even that much necessary to unpack there for this. But the Chiefs and the Broncos game, that game obviously clearly could have gone the other direction easily. Clearly, I mean that like with the way that the game was so tight throughout the entire game, you just need one extra bounce one. And again, it was a bad decision by Patrick Mahomes. He left points on the board, has devastating consequences against the Jags. Patrick Mahomes also threw that pick, I think it ended up being a pick 6 at like the 1-yard line of his own end zone or of the, you know, Jags in the red zone. And so that had pretty devastating consequences. But again, that game had a couple weird missed calls, pass interference call that wasn't called for the Jags, that the Chiefs then were able to get the interception, like had a couple weird stuff. But again, the Chiefs were still clearly the smoother you know, the more smooth operated team. And if you're looking at the Chargers and you're looking at the Eagles, you're just like, I don't know, man. If Xavier Worthy is there, if Rashee Rice is there, like you start to like your chances more. snorts. And so I'm not trying to do like this quick generic, hey, if the Chiefs just, if a couple bounces go this way, they really could be an 8-2 team. Like, you can say that about the Broncos. The Broncos could be undefeated. The Eagles could have, 4 losses now, like you can do that. They shouldn't have beaten the Rams. It took multiple blocked punts or blocked kicks, and the Bucks could. So, like, we can do that for all those teams. But this is what I think people lose sight of. It's not about just, well, if this play or that play went in a slightly different direction, would you have won or lost? It's the quality of play. And that was what happened last year, where the Chiefs were winning all of these close games. But overall, it didn't feel inherent that the quality of play from the Kansas City Chiefs was that great, especially in that when that first batch of games, the 678 game, Patrick Mahomes had more interceptions than touchdowns. Like, it was just a bizarre way. And even beating the Broncos, again, credit to the Chiefs that year for blocking the field goal and whatnot. But like, the Broncos played better. And again, these are things that people just really struggle with accepting, and I get it, but I just really encourage people to just not get so obsessed with just a couple singular plays and not get so obsessed with the wins and the losses. But I don't need to use any past sense of who clears throat the Chiefs are, or any future sense of who Mahomes is in the playoffs, to feel like the Chiefs have been playing better football than the Houston Texans, than the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chargers is going to be fascinating just because their O-line is just so awful. And Justin Herbert is literally being hit at a historic rate. You're just like, is this the beginning of the end? Right? They get rocked with the Jags. It's like, is any of this sustainable for the Jags right now? I don't think the Bengals are going on this big run. The Steelers just lost Aaron Rodgers, seemingly, in the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know. They're 5-5. That's cool. But like, you're not going to tell me that you feel better about the 5-5 Baltimore Ravens, that you feel better than them, than the 5-5 Kansas City Chiefs? What's the argument? I'd love to hear it. And the Bills, and the Bills are the Bills, right? I mean, you need Josh Allen to be a superhero. We already know how the Bills and the Chiefs play against one another. And then you have the Patriots and the Colts, 2 teams that people are kind of like trying to figure out. Are you for real? Like, what's the story here? And so, really, to me, the main argument is just like, if you don't think the Chiefs are in this great place, do you feel as though that the Bills are in this great place? Do you feel that the Steelers are in this great place? Do you feel like the Ravens are in this great place? Do you feel like the Jags are in this great place? Do you feel like the Chargers are in a great place? The Broncos have the record, the Colts have the record, and the Patriots have the record. Absolutely. But I mean, can you really say with your chest out that the Colts are truly bona fide top team? And that's why it's great that the Chiefs playing them. It's like, yes, perfect. And even with the Broncos, again, when you're talking about 2 great teams, I know the Chiefs fans want to say that the Broncos aren't a great team, which, if they're not a great team and then you lost to them, that makes it even worse. But if you can see that the Broncos are a great team and a division rival, when 2 great teams play each other and they're a division rivals, yeah, like losing a close game, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. The Broncos are on an 8-game win streak right now, and you're just like, yeah, it makes sense. You're like, I get it. And you lose by a last-second field goal. So I don't think it needs to be doom and gloom. I think there should be concerns. I don't think there needs to be doubt, but I think there should be skepticism. I think there should be frustrations, but I don't think it needs to be dejection. And yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are 9th in scoring and 4th in defense. And so, right, they're not coming away with these game-winning plays right now. But there's no reason to believe that that's just magically lost on them. And even the points for some of this type of stuff, listen, it can kind of go in both directions, where some of this gets bogged down because of the injuries, and some of it gets elevated when you dominate the raid, right? When you jack up the score against like the Raiders and the Commanders, because it's like, well, who cares about that? It's like, how did you look against the Eagles? How did you look against the Chargers? How did you look against like the Broncos, right? Teams that actually matter. But it's still it's still a decent enough indicator of like what you're working with here. And your defense did hold the Broncos to 22 points. And again, maybe you think that the Broncos offense is not that good. So you're kind of like, man, they haven't been good. The Jets held them to 10 points. I think that's what the score was. The Raiders held them, I think, also to like 10 points or whatever it was. And you're just like, man, we gave up more. And you're just like, yeah, that's technically an argument. I mean, it's all on the table right now. There's no easy argument with the Chiefs that you can just easily cast away or plant your flag on. And that's why, for me, it's just very much of kind of like, what lens do you want to look at through this team? Like, how do you want to unpack this right now? And I don't think there's an inherent right or wrong way to. I just think when I look at these numbers, when I look at them averaging 25.5 points per game and only giving up 18 points per game, and at the beginning season, in the beginning of the season, dealing with suspensions and injuries and whatnot, I just still inherently believe that they are significantly better than what their record shows, and how lucky and fortunate they are that out of all the years to be 5-5, this is without a shadow of a doubt, the best year to be 5-5. Okay? Because under any other year, the Ravens would be winning. The Bengals with Joe Burrow would be winning. Like, you know, even the Texans with CJ Stroud maybe would be, right? Like everybody, like everything is so wide open right now. The Chargers injuries, right? Like, so it's still all there for them. It's still all there for them. And even though the Chiefs aren't even in the playoffs, I mean, what are we going to say that the Chiefs right now aren't a top 10 team? I just disagree with that. I'm excited to see if Colin puts them in his herd hierarchy, or where Nick has him in tiers and all of that. But I don't know. I'm still just not seeing it. This whole, the Chiefs are done. It's over. They're 5-5. They're going to struggle to make the playoffs. Going up against the Colts is going to be the most telling thing. I mean, they have really important games, obviously, and got to have it, but also just for you to try to figure out who are the Chiefs this year. I mean, the Chiefs take down the Colts and the Cowboys. Boom. 7-5. Patrick Mahomes in front of the mic being like, you know, we know what we're capable of doing and we play this brand of football. We're one of the best out there. Blah, 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 blah. And then you're going up against the Texans and it's like, you know, whether it's CJ Stroud or backup quarterback, it's like, I don't know, man. The Chargers by December 14th could be the most decimated team ever. You're going up against the Tennessee Titans. Congrats. Now you got the revenge factor with the Broncos Christmas Day, and then you're playing the Raiders, who are probably like, man, we hope we lose this game on January 4th so we can get the number 3 pick in the draft. So that's why, to me, it probably really these games right here, the Colts and the Chiefs. The Colts and the Chiefs. Colts and the Chiefs. The Colts and the Cowboys. That's right there. It's like, who are you in these two games? The Colts is definitely a winnable game. And definitely, clearly, a lowable game. The Cowboys, they're probably the biggest wild card factor. Because you're just like, I don't know, man. What's this offense going to bring? Dak Prescott, is this defense going to be good enough? You know, it's like the Texans, I think. You know what you're going to get. The Chargers, you know what you're going to get. The Titans, you know what you're going to get. The Broncos, you know what you're going to get. The Raiders, you know what you're going to get. The biggest wild cards are the Colts and the Cowboys to me right now on this schedule. The Colts, would it shock you if the Chiefs roll the Colts and Daniel Jones has 4 turnovers? Absolutely not. Pittsburgh Steelers did it. And then against the Cowboys, like all of a sudden we're going to have insane belief that the Dallas Cowboys now are going to start ripping off wins and Dak Prescott's going to be all comfortable and tort. Like, no, what are we talking about? But they're absolutely capable of it. They're absolutely capable of it. That's what makes them the ultimate wild card right now. So it's these two games. And it just so happens that they play Sunday, Thursday, right? Thanksgiving. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Kansas City Chiefs? How do you feel about them? How do you explain how this season is unfolding? Do you think they're actually legitimately good? Do you think no? They are a true 5-5 team. struggling to make the playoffs, and there's no strong reason to believe in them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.